welcome to Canvas Corks and Forks at Home. My name is Katie, I'm going to be your artist today, and we are doing our Cosmic Sky painting over here. So the really great thing about this painting is you can do it as a couples class, so each of you could do a half and put it together for a little partner paint action, or we do have larger canvases available so you can rock it solo. So I'm going to be showing you on here, but if you have two people doing this painting, just repeat the step on each side and decide who is doing the moon. So really the moon is the only difference for where you want to put it on your canvas. But we're just going to do a supply check first. We all have paintbrushes, we have our paper towel, plates, and our paints that we're going to be using today are the black and white. We're going to use both blues, so we have the Ultra and the Phthalo blue. And we'll be using our red because we want to help make our purple color. So we got our paints, we're ready to go, and hopefully you all have a little sip out there to get on ready and shaken. So let's take our biggest paintbrush out of the water and get on started. We'll be working on our background first. And for our background, we kind of have some pink tones at the very bottom here. So we're going to take a little red aside and add some white to make a good amount of pink. Once we have our pink, we're going to be hugging closer to the bottom edge. And we're just going to draw a line straight across. So if you're working with a partner, just make sure this line matches up. But if you're on our big canvas today, we're just going to go maybe like 2 inches above and run it long way right across there. We're going to be working up into our sky, so we're going to scoop more of that pink. And what I like to do is I'm putting the pink on, and then I'm using white to help blend and push it all around. So right above this line, I'm putting pink. Nice and choppy. And then I'm not rinsing my brush at all. I'm just taking a good scoop of my white, and I'm going to go right on top of this and blend all the way across, nice and smooth. So I'm not going to blend too much, because if you blend too much, you're not going to get all these different colors in there. We want it to kind of look nice and choppy. I'm just going to bring it up right about there. I'll be working at a little bit of a quicker pace, so if you need to pause the video, you can go right ahead and join me back for our next steps. But our next color is light blue, so let's clean off our paintbrush, sneak some of that really bright blue aside, and add some white into it. Got my paintbrush clean. I'm taking the really bright blue, adding my white, and now this is going right above the pink we just did, and we're going to treat it the same way. Let's put the light blue on, and then use white to help blend it. So it's just above. Scooping into my white and pushing it all around. So it should overlap that pink layer, so we have a nice blending between the two. As we work our way up, we want it to get darker, so I'll be taking more of the blue and adding less white. So I've got a nice darker blue to start out with. And I'm going to treat this the same way. Go right above with my darker blue, and then I'm going to blend it with the white. We should have a little gap at the top saved here, and for that we can pick our darker blue color. We haven't touched it yet, so I'm going in with that dark blue not cleaning my brush, but I'm just gonna run that dark blue around the edge. And then I can also play with just the dark of the other blue. So we're just gonna stick in those pure colors, no white this time, and we're gonna fill up the top edge. So I got my dark and my bright blue. Working right along. A big trick while you're working, if you're noticing any kind of choppy moments or any tick marks that you get in there, I'll show you what it means. It's like these little moments where it looks like there's kind of like an indent in your canvas. That's just right where your brush ends. So really make sure that you're going from one edge of the canvas all the way over to the next. And it's going to help keep everything nice and smooth on there for you. So all the way over. Keep working on your backgrounds if you need to, but when you're all done, let's clean that brush off, and we're just going to take plain old black paint and we're going to fill everything on the bottom half in. You can make that line a little choppy if you want, you can make it look hilly, but I'm going to go right over my pink, just a little bit so it overlaps, and I'm going to go all the way across, nice and kind of bumpy. And then everything down is going to get black. From here, our whole canvas should all be filled in with paint. We're going to get working on our trees next, so pause the video if you need to, but when you're ready for those trees, let's take out our smallest paintbrush and we're going to go back in with our black paint. We're going to use our black paint to map out where we want each tree to go. So we're going to be doing the very centers and just putting lines for where we want each trunk to be. I'm just taking my smallest paintbrush and my black paint, going right up from what we just did, and however long I make this line is how long my tree is going to be. So I can make some long ones, I can add some short ones, but make sure we space it out and add as many or as little trees as you want. If you do a lot of trees, I'll space mine out a little bit. Put some short ones in there. These are just guidelines, so don't make them too thick. They're going to be the trunks. To show you up close, I'll be using my medium-sized brush and the black paint again. This is the trunk that we just did, but now we have to add the texture on for some of those branches. And we're gonna use that medium brush like it's a stamp. So we'll be dotting it on, and it's gonna make it nice and fuzzy and give it a texture to it. So when we have this on here, we wanna make sure that it's wider at the base, and then it gets smaller at the top. So it's got that triangle effect. It gets to a nice point at the top. So just like a stamp, we're gonna dot it. Make sure it's bigger at the bottom. And very slowly, as we get closer to this top point here, we're just gonna make sure that it goes tinier and tighter all the way up. I like to leave a little bit of a point at the top here. So if you need to redraw that on there, you can always re-put it, but I think it's kind of like a nice moment that shows that it's a pine tree. So I'll do it again with you on the other side. Medium-sized paintbrush, black paint. We already have our trunk on there. And now I'm dotting it like it's a stamp. So it's bigger at the bottom. It gets smaller and smaller until we're at the very top, and then we just leave a little line shooting out the top. Let's do it on our canvas together. I got my black paint, medium-sized brush ready to go. I'll pick this nice center one for you. I'm dotting it on here. It's larger at the base. And here we go, we're getting tighter and tighter. So there's just a little point at the top. You can really build it out and make some really nice and big trees. Kind of break them off a little bit. They can even be floating, little floating branches. But always make sure that it's getting smaller at the top area here. And there's our first guy. I'll do another big one. It's bigger at the bottom. Nice and choppy, some breakaway moments. And as I'm getting up to that top, I'm just leaving a little point up there. And then just going back and making sure it's whatever shape I want. Another, dotting it. Don't forget about the little guys down here. They can overlap if they need to. Dotting it on. take a look when you have all your trees all done. You could add more if you want to, but another kind of fun filler is we can use our small brush and the black paint again, and we can add some grass in between. So the grass is just going to be right on that edge, and I'm going to flick my paintbrush up. So I'll show you a little pocket of the area it can go. Kind of like an up-close visual to show you. I'm just taking my brush and I'm flicking it up. So just tiny little lines all along the edge. Pause the video if you need to work more on your trees, but for our next kind of cloud and our mystic fog going on the background, I'll be using my big brush. So just clean that off. Let's sneak some blue aside. Add some red to it to make a purple. And then to really brighten it up, I'm going to add some white in there. And this is the area I'm talking about right over here. I'm doing these guys. When you have your shade of purple, it's going to be just like those trees we did. We're going to use that big brush now, and we're going to be dotting it on there, just like the stamping motion we did. So I'm going to pick kind of an area. You can either make one cluster all the way to top, or you can kind of pick little moments and just build it up as you go. Skipping along. Maybe you want to play around with a little bit of white in there, add some different colors into it. I'm just finding little moments where I want some of these clouds to go. I'm going to add some white so you can see what the white looks like. And you can add as much or as little of these guys as you want on there. Now we just have our moon and our stars to go, so I'm going to use my medium-sized brush and decide where you want that moon to go. It'll be our white paint. You can either do a full moon, or we've got our little crescent moon over here that just looks like the letter C. And then we're going to make it thicker on the inside. For your white paint, white is a little bit see-through, so just let it dry up a little bit, and you can always hit that moon again with the second coat. The second coat will really help brighten it up. So for now, just kind of leave it, give it a nice thin coat, let it dry, and then come back to it and really brighten it up at the end. But our other step is we're gonna be putting those stars on. And my trick with stars is you could take any paintbrush. I'm still using my medium-sized paintbrush. Flip it over and use the wooden part. I'm gonna dot it a good amount of white on the end. I'm gonna treat it also like it's a stamp. But now I'm using the wooden handle. Loading up on the white, and then I'm picking little moments where I want them to go. If you push harder, you're gonna get a bigger dot. If you're a little bit lighter, you can get some nice tiny ones. Kind of cluster them up a little bit, go right on top of your clouds. You could bring them even down a little bit by these trees. Behind the moon. And then your very last step is going to be to sign your painting. So you've got the bottom corner, you could do it on the edge of it, you can put it on the back. But thank you all so much for joining us. Take a look at our online gallery for some more pick of your project, and we'll see you all soon. Thank you.